Hello, hello. We are good. Let me. I'm thinking about if I turn on desktop audio at all because, well, let me check something. That's also a bug, but anyways, we're gonna get started in a bit. Let's just quickly check if the game sound even plays. But hello, everyone. Slime Cake Alpha is actually out. Surprisingly, it wasn't too much work as I expected, but yeah, it took a little bit, mostly because I was figuring out everything else. The game itself has been fine. Let's turn on the desktop audio because I do want to show off the really placeholder sound effects we have. It's not great. I did in the end just grab the same one used from the previous old game. Yeah, it's just working out. I was looking into how early I could get Steam set up, but I think I'm just gonna get it set up for, what is it? Yeah, Stearman. But yeah, I'll get it working for beta, not now. I don't even know if I've never. Steam, can you release beta version of game? Let me Google this because I'm actually curious. Like you can, right? But I might still do itch for. Yeah, I do need to do devlog. That's the big thing. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to record one before going back to Korea, but man, it's gonna be rough. Time frame's really rough. Yeah, 100 isn't too bad. But yeah, we'll see. Okay. I 100% want to use Steam though, because I think it's just a good option for what I have, but we'll see. Yeah, I'm gonna speedrun the game today because I want this stream to act as like almost like a walkthrough of sort. Just so if anyone's stuck playing alpha, this will work as that. Because I'll be going through every level, right? Just keep in mind that certain levels do have multiple clear options. There are also some cheese in some levels that I did not see. But that's fine. I think, was it this one? Yeah, this one has a massive cheese. So for some levels like that, I'll just clear it twice so I can show them off. But yeah. Yeah, I might do devlog on itch. Last time I did it, it wasn't that great, but that was also when I first made the game in 2010. So I'll try to write one up. I feel like I really should include clips and videos though, but we'll see. All right. But honestly, I really want to release a video because I know video, if it does well, then boom, that's really good, right? But we'll see. Okay. Yeah, I think we'll just start right away with the speedrun. So again, it's going to act as a walkthrough. So hopefully someone else can use this for a future reference. But let's just get right into it. And this is not going to be a try-hard speedrun at all. But it should act really nicely as a walkthrough. So hopefully you find that cool. But alpha version of the game is out. It is in. I hope it's in the description. Let me actually pause and check. I believe it is in the description, but let me double check. It is. The itch link is there. And yeah, let's get started. So this is a puzzle game. And I do have just this early intro story part, but that is the only thing I've implemented just so I can see, you know, how possible it is. And then here we go. Carrot, double jump. Super easy first level. And then I'm going to be clearing every single level for this video. So again, it can act as a walkthrough. Let's just skip right on ahead. Here we go. We're picking up ginseng so we can get 2 foods. I can make a, okay. I can make a double jump there and continue on. Back to map. Then we'll go to level 3. And I have been, every time I level design for this game, I always try to find the shortest time path. Sometimes I don't do too well, but for most levels, I have figured out mostly the fastest route. Because, yeah, one of these challenges will be a really fast clear time, right? Every level is going to have 3 challenges, and so on. The collision is a bit iffy. Yes, there's a reason for it. It's gonna need a whole devlog to cover why. And I genuinely don't know if there's gonna be a solution for it. I might just have to do better on the art side, so yeah, we'll see. It's definitely one of those things. What the hell? Okay. One of those things that's I don't know if I'm gonna be able to solve. But we're going through forest levels now, where we're introduced to mushrooms and ghost pepper. Ghost pepper you don't want to pick up, because that will kill you. I swear I've tried to explain to you this. Again, this is a puzzle game. It's just a normal platformer, right? And if I do a square collider, there's so many things I have to fix. It's just not possible. Like, it's a live game, right? It's not a turn-based grid-based game. It is a grid-based game, but you don't move by grid. You're free to move, right? So if I wanted to do something like that, then all of a sudden I have to think about hitbox problems where if I'm standing between 2 foods, then what happens, right? And really the only way to fix that is make sure that's not possible. But to do that, it goes into a whole different problem. But one of the biggest problem is handling that and handling cases where you're strictly in a cell to pick up food. And yeah, I don't really want to go over it in the stream because it really is a monster of a problem. Yes, I know it's common. It doesn't work for this game. I don't know what to say. I don't want to be frustrated because like I thought I've explained to you this before. At least I tried in Discord because it's not as simple. Yeah. Yes, but there's cases where you have to think about a 1x1 block, right? I need to make it not possible for them to jump around, but at the same time, I need to make it so they can still pick up the food. Strictly if they're standing on it. They cannot stand on the edge. They cannot do anything regarding it. Like, the only way we can do a crisp, it's either you're on the cell picking up the food or not, is literally a 1 pixel pickup collision. It's really messed up. Yeah, exactly. I've done that before when I worked in this game in 2010 to 2020, sorry, not 2010. Jesus, that's 16 years ago. But yeah, there we go. Forest is fully complete. And I really need a devlog to cover this because it's such a weird problem. Like, it seems so simple, yet not. Also, I've not really been doing any commentary, but talking about that. But this level is surprisingly hard. The main thing is you have to get this carrot first. And you're going to go over here to get that ginseng. Otherwise, you're going to have problems at the end part of this level. But there we go. Really fast clear. Oh, and yeah, I forgot I had this animation for the main world map too. I probably will remove it, but we'll see. Yeah, all main levels complete. Then we'll do farm first. Farm has some really interesting levels. For the game, I've been trying to limit food by themes, kind of. So in farm levels, you will see things like potato, and we'll see other foods in just a short bit. But here we go. This level, you're introduced to potato, where you do 4 high jumps, only from the ground. And then at the moment for alpha, all the levels starting after forest is laid out just very simply, because I didn't really have too much time to think about how I wanted to do that. But a very simple level here. Also, by the way, if you're wondering, the food on the slime is a placeholder art. The plan for the game, closer to launch, and I think it'll be in for beta too, is the food is actually meant to be transparent. I'll pause the game. Transparent, more transparent inside the slime, right? I really wanted to visually show what the slime is holding. At the moment, I didn't have really time to figure out how I wanted to do that with the animation all without it being really janky. So yeah, that's kind of why it's just displayed in front, but that will be fixed for beta. And I did think about just setting the food transparent, but it just does not look good. I think I'm gonna have to have 2 layers of animation for the player to really make it exactly how I want it. But this level is the level I said that has 2 solutions. So we'll do the level solution that I kind of intended for it to be, which is you pick up both potatoes. And this is how you get all foods. But there is actually a cheese. So we'll do it again. You grab this pear, you just grab a bee, and yeah, you just beat it this way too. Skipping the entire mechanic. I'm honestly not sure if I want to leave this in or actually patch that out, but we'll see. Level designing is really hard, so we'll see. Here we go. This is also an interesting level. This level may stump some people. This is the first time you're introduced to food that really interacts with food directly, so it is quite a confusing one, but you're mainly clearing those 2 and passing by. Making the slime transparent has the issue where the player is literally transparent. I only want it transparent in front of the food, right? So to handle that, I'm gonna have to have 2 layers. I don't think it's possible otherwise. This level is also very interesting. You're gonna have to jump over that ghost pepper, and that level is pretty much the first level where you're figuring out jumping over a food. Oh, die. Yeah, no, hardest part is 100% the level design. It is a monster. This level, I kind of forgot the solution, but let's figure it out together. I think it is not this. We'll see. Oh, I cooked myself. Yeah. Yeah, let's restart. Oh goodness. We're gonna be figuring out this level together. I believe it is just Huh? Wait, no, I think I got it. Ah! No, I was so close. Wait. No, right here. I pick up the potato. Then carrot. Wait, no. It's also wrong. I think this is it. Okay. Well, great speedrun. Totally forget how to complete one level. I should have every other level properly memorized. But alright, this one, you're introduced to another food that actually directly interacts with food in world. So onion removes food. The next one you touch. So you're gonna want to remove those ghost pepper. You're gonna get the potato. And you're just gonna loop around, get this onion. And you're able to clear the level this way. This level is gonna be quite hard too, so it should be quite interesting. And sadly, there's only one level with these unique foods. Because I didn't really have time to level design, but here's watermelon. I forgot to do a new line there. And watermelon, you pick it up, you pick up as many melon slices as you can hold. So you have to do some maneuver here so you can pick up as many slices as possible. Oop. I couldn't get that shortcut. As many slices as possible to get past all the eggplants, which removes food you hold, to the cake. Alright, here we go. This level is probably gonna be the final level for the farm. Either that or I might have... Actually, I don't want to spoil the game. I might have a thing planned, but we'll see. This one, you're gonna have to go fully around. Oh, you can just in there and do it there. Basically, you're eating every single potato at the bottom. Might have an alternate solution, but I think that should be probably the only way to solve. We'll see. How did you come up with the idea for this game? I genuinely don't remember because this was even before I started learning programming. I was just thinking of random puzzle games possible, and this is just how I came up. Like, what's a unique puzzle game? And I was like, oh, get food. I didn't even think about slime and cake. I was just thinking about getting food, and yeah. Jump up one block. Yep. Here, you're gonna have to jump over the food, and you get introduced to pineapple, which is quite funny. Just pay attention to the food bar. I'm gonna eat the pineapple. It literally kicks away the other food. And here, you're gonna do a maneuver where you just waste a banana. but you come over here, you're able to get the banana, and you just kind of pass. Yes, this is all made in Unity. You're introduced to first food where it has multiple uses. Alright, here we go. That was really fast action, but basically you're just getting food in this combination. Oops, I messed up the jump there. And there we go. Oh, don't go back into this level, already done. Next level, this one is quite interesting. I did slightly change up the design so it's more interesting. Oh, I messed up there. Let's eat one there and do this. But yeah, you're basically trying not to waste any banana here. And you need a way to come back, so the only way to do that is you're picking up the earlier banana bunches first. Right, let's continue on. This level is quite interesting too. Grape, you dash as far as you can. And to beat this level, this one surprisingly came out to be a really surprisingly hard level, but you want to do this combo, so you can go back and have 2 apples and get the cake. And it is kind of funny because you dash so far that you can't just use a grape here, you just die. So that's how you beat that level. Alright, here we go. This level is very heavily work in progress. Honestly, I really shouldn't have put it in, but yeah, I kind of forgot. So here we go. We'll just grab these here. You just need 2 banana bunches to win. And this is also an introduction to one-sided walls, but they might not look like walls in beta. We shall see. Unreal has some flaws. It's just so bloated. It's so heavy, right? It's also not great for 2D games. It's okay for 2.5D, I think, but personally not at all something you want to use for 2D games. I did use Unreal a lot in university too, so. But here we go. Jungle is complete. There is only 2 more levels that remain. Desert and Pyramid. Desert, there's going to be way more levels. I just didn't include many of the ones I wanted to for Alpha. There's a way faster way to beat this level, but we're just going to do it safely. An introductory level where you just literally just win. Here we finally see another food, which its own purpose. If you eat it, you die. So I'm not going to eat the jalapeno. But cheese, the description is literally yum. You eat it, nothing happens. That's its only purpose. And with the cheese, we're going to be able to walk past this jalapeno, pick up enough pears to let us jump to get the win. Alright, here we go. This is another level that's kind of teaching you need to get the jalapeno wisely. We're just gonna kind of speedrun here, but basically, every time we're picking up mushroom, we're full on jalapeno, so we're not wasting a mushroom. Messed up that jump there. Alright, this level is a quite big one, but essentially you're doing the same thing. So you want every mushroom picked up with as much jalapenos as possible. We're going to go around here. We're going to pick up the cheese because we do need 1 pair to win. And that's how you win this level. Oh, the levels are going to be branched out. This is just alpha. Don't forget, this is just alpha. And that's like really early alpha. Like, I didn't want to call it something weird, but yeah. This is the first level we're introduced to dragon fruit, which reverses order of your food. So we're slowly getting a ton of different foods that do interact with your inventory. And that's kind of gonna be how the puzzle really, really gets harder. And again, at the moment, there's not too many levels, but there will be more branching out and options for levels. Here we go. We're going to final area, which is pyramid. Level 1, we're gonna get introduced to this keystone. That's at least what it is called in the code. Oh, I messed up. Keystone, which literally just breaks open when you touch it with the food you have. And you need to match the food and it will consume it from your inventory. And that's how you beat this introduction level for Pyramid. Named Sacrifice. So hopefully players know what they're supposed to do, just reading the level name. But yeah, this level's a bit too simple. but you basically don't even need to... Oh, I messed up there. You basically don't even need to pick up the cheese. You can just kind of go around it. I'm probably going to remove or redesign this level. But there we go. Yeah, just ignore the level layout. This level I really like. I did have to patch a cheese. Not the food cheese, but literal like way to beat the level easier. But you're essentially doing this maneuver to go around. You have this block you can jump on, so you can go around and get the cake. And this is another free level. It doesn't really have any purpose. So probably going to be removed for beta, but hey, it's just there to kind of show off that you can do that. You can just walk past and they're going to break behind you. Okay, and this level is just a troll level. I don't know why I even included it, but it's just here to waste your time. But we'll try to do the fastest solution, which I think is just doing this maneuver to get the jalapeno. You only need 3, so you don't need to get this last ginseng. There we go, and you get the cake. Oh, enter the same level again. Amazing. Alright, we're going to get to some of the harder levels. I do believe this one had a cheese also, but we'll just do it the way I intended. Here we go. And I think you get, yeah, you get the cheese here. And you basically have to time your jump. So you're gonna jump and eat the food. For this one, you can just eat the food, but there you go. And same thing here, time your jump and get to the cake. I have 5 more levels. These are pretty much the harder levels. This is probably my favorite level in the game. Essentially, you're picking up these food, so you don't unlock any of these keystones, right? You're only unlocking the ones you want. And to do that, you're basically maneuvering what food you're holding. So like here, I can double jump. I'm holding the cheese, so the key doesn't open. I just double eat the food, so I can get to the top. This one, let's hope I remember the solution. I do believe you go around here, get the carrot. And I think the important thing here is you pick up this jalapeno first. Unlock the gate. You do this. So you can get the cactus. Come over here. And you're going to want to unlock these two. And you're going to get the cheese. And you're going to want to actually unlock this first. Go back to get the jalapeno and you can get to the cake. It's a bit of a big level. A long walk, but there we go. 40 seconds, even though I pretty much beelined. And here we go. This level, hopefully I remember the solution too. But it's also quite interesting. I don't think it's too bad once you figure out that all you need to do is kinda not break some of these floors. Let's hopefully I remember what to do here. I think this was a cheese, but you essentially just do this and you get to the cake. Okay, 2 more level, and here I'll leave this level last because I think that's the hardest level. This is the biggest level for the alpha, but it's not really the hardest. But surprisingly, you can just make this jump here. And you want to get this. And I'm actually going to pick up this dragon fruit over here. Get all the cheese. Come grab this last carrot. There might be a cheese for this level also. Not that I've figured out, but with jalapeno and cheese, you can finally just get this last dragon fruit and get to the cake. Alright, last level of the game. Probably the hardest level because for some reason this level took so long to figure out. But you have to do a cancel there with the apple. And then you're coming over here and open this cheese gate. Finally, with the remaining food, you're just opening the gate and yeah, that's it. With this, that should be time for the game. Really short alpha, you know. Obviously, if you know every solution to the puzzle, it's going to be very fast, but that should be 100% of all levels. But anyone that wants to try out the game, I wouldn't try to watch walkthrough until you're truly stuck, because really, I'm sure there are multiple solutions to some of the levels that I've missed. And I would really love to hear about them. And at the moment, there is a path that unlocks to this area, island, but there's nothing yet. So that's going to be it for the game. Let's go back to title and see the time. Sub 20. So not too bad for alpha. But yeah, there's 45 levels in the alpha at the moment. And you can definitely save a ton of time for some of the levels. And I guess let's talk about the beta next, because the alpha I did release pretty hastily. About 1 week of start, we got majority of the game done. So week 2 before the alpha launch, I was able to work a ton on at least polishing the game, right? I worked on polishing the game, adding a bit more levels before releasing, because I did have some people play test the game before then too. And surprisingly, there's still a bit of, like, a lot of polishing left. Not a bit, like, there's so many things that I kind of should figure out. So even in the world map, right now the camera moves instantly, but I should probably just add a small lerp so the camera doesn't feel a bit choppy. Also, the movement in the world map is kind of horrid, but that should be a really easy fix. Then let's go back to forest here. So forest for the alpha, I did already set out the levels, right? So it's not the greatest, obviously, again, but it is a start of how it could look like. And it's not going to be this compact. I will probably spread it out a bit more, branch it out. So like 1 could be here, it might touch 2 and 3, but a 4, it might branch out more, right? Main thing I need to figure out is how I want to number them too, because if I want, for example, like 3 branches possible that lead to the final level here, how am I going to lay that out, right? Thankfully, I think that's not too hard of a decision to do compared to actually designing all of these levels, right? Designing these levels is actually such a time taking part. It's been taking so long to think about, like, how do I prevent certain cheese? How do I make it interesting, right? So it's not super straightforward. Oh, I just pick up in a straight line and win. So this level, for example, players are figuring out you pick up mushroom to remove the last food. But you come over here and all of a sudden, the carrot is your last food. You need the carrot to win. I probably should put a title somewhere in the pause screen, because otherwise you can't tell. And the thing you need to figure out is, hey, you can actually eat the apple here to not destroy the carrot, because you're eating the carrot, right? So carrot moves the first slot and it's safe. And yeah, the title of the level is actually Dash to Shrooms, so it's meant to be a hint. So yeah, there are some things like that too. So like level 1, order matters. This is the first level in the game where order actually matters for the pickup. So here you need to get to the cake. You can't reach it. So you're gonna go back, and you have a dash and a double jump. If you just pick it up in this order, you are gonna double jump next, so you can't quite get to the cake, right? So you have to jump around and get the food in order like this, which is kind of why I put it this way. So most people, hopefully most players, will pick it up in this wrong order, figure out that, oh, they need to do something different, right? So hopefully they undo, get it up correctly, and beat the level, and that's meant to be that. I may make the level a bit harder, but I feel like this is fine for their pretty much 4th or 5th level of the game. But we shall see. There's also more path opening here. This one is a super simple game. What is the armor you had last stand on? Dollflower. But yeah, this one is just... I don't know. I don't even know how I would redesign this level, because it's just very simple. Introduce mushroom. But I probably will need to at least do one interesting thing about mushrooms, right? I do try to show off that you can't pick up double mushrooms like this. You have to have a food slot to pick it up. Maybe I need to add actual puzzle aspect to the level, but I don't even know what I'm saying. But we'll see. We'll see. It is gonna be hard to figure out things like that. Also, game sound might still be loud. That's actually crazy. There. Then level 3. This one you just go around. And it is kind of a mix of multiple things, but main thing we're figuring out is the ghost pepper. So players should be able to pick it up. I think from what I've seen from playtesters, they mainly pick it up out of curiosity to figure out what the food does. So they'll get food slots, eat it, and see that, hey, they can't do this. And yeah, this might be how they do it first, because they try to go around their mushrooms. Figure out that they can't do that. But that is one of those levels. And that pretty much is what I was experimenting with alpha. And we'll see. Beta is gonna be a lot of level design. I think it's gonna be a ton of level design. It's gonna be a ton of sound and art, obviously. And I do really need to look for an artist because I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do all the art by myself, because that is gonna be a ton of time. And I really feel like as long as I can get the level design done for this game, like really solid, then it has potential to be a solid puzzle game, right? So hopefully I can get help in that department. But we'll see. I'll also have to still look into the collision, because I guess since I have so much time to talk about it, let's see, I do want to stream for at least like 15 more minutes. The main thing why the collision for this game is so hard, and you know what? Let's actually start recording. I'm going to start recording this part. So I'm going to talk about why this game took somehow longer than I expected. And it was, you know, I worked on the game in 2020. And back then I also had a problem with the collision of the game also. So this is a precise puzzle platformer game. Obviously the genre is just puzzle platformer, but when you look into it, you really do need precise movement for the game. So for example, first level, very simple, you get food. You figure out that you can only jump 3 blocks. So I'm gonna actually turn down the game to 1%. So you want to do a double jump here, get over it, and get the cake, right? So the game itself, idea, very simple. Get food, eat food, get ability. You only use the food once. And here you're introduced to your second food, which actually introduces inventory. It's something you can change, right? So you can double jump and you can actually pick up 2 carrots here to get to the cake. Otherwise, you're going to be able to eat only 1 carrot and can't get over this wall. And you win. So let's actually talk about the crazy part of the game, which was figuring out the collision. So picking up food, very simple mechanic, but the problem comes when you have levels where you may have multiple food in one slot. And I'm not going to go over too heavy in detail of all the foods, but let's go to one of the levels. Yeah, I guess this is a good example. So let's take this level for example. I'm going to come down here. And you see these foods that are in the cell next to each other. Obviously, the food is just a visual. There's actually not a hitbox on the food, which is maybe quite interesting to some people, right? If you made a game before, then it's kind of obvious that you just put a collision on the food. How we're handling collision for the game, for the player not with the wall, is if I press F3, it pulls up a debug. And this will tell us a little better, but here is the player hitbox. It's just a cross, literally just a cross. And yeah, that is just the player. And you can see I'm touching the wall and we are not able to go past it. If I jump, I do actually make the player hitbox a straight stick. There is a bit of a weird reason for this, but bear with me here. And thankfully, I do have the solution for what happens if you hug the wall, right? When you fall down, the arm, I'm going to call this the arm because that is what it's called in the code too, does properly push you out. I did make sure that player gets pushed out of the wall. So that's kind of how I handle that. So we're gonna come to the hard part, and that's how do you make sure if I stand between two food, what happens, right? And what I really wanted to make sure is in those cases, we should just have it set so you only pick up one food. You're only in range of one food. It should never be possible you're in range of two different foods. And to do that, the only way that I could really think of a clean way to do this is instead of using a collision on the player and collision on the food, you instead do literally which cell is the player standing in. And I think at the moment it's actually set at 0.5, not directly middle of player. So if I jump, you can see, like if I'm moving around, you can see this white, faint white cell around the player. And that's actually the cell from the debug, obviously. It's not normally shown. That's actually the cell player is standing on. That's how I determine which food the player would pick up. Since, it's obviously only possible that player is closest to one cell only, that determines that even if I try to jump in the middle of a food, no matter what I do, it's gonna be only one food I pick up. So that kind of takes care of that issue. And yeah, that design was a bit problematic too, because now you have a stick figure of a player, right? So let's go to level editor and think about different problems that we need to solve. So here we are at ASDFFF, I guess. This is actually where I filmed the alpha footage, just picking up the food, because I really love the animation for the inventory. But let's put a situation of a very simple situation of a 1x1 and a food there, right? So obviously to get past here, you need to jump around the block and there's food on the block. The main thing is, how do I want to make sure that in this case, I wanted to make sure that 100% of cases, players should never be allowed to jump around this block without picking up the food. Because this is going to be a thing in the game. Obviously, this case doesn't justify it, but there may be cases of like actually in the level where you need a precise area where you might really set up something where you need to have a, oh my goodness, I can't speak. There's going to be a setup where you just have to pick up the food that's on the block here. And really the only way to handle that, and it already is solved by the previous problem, and that's because the only way for the player to stand on this platform is to literally be in this block, right? Because the player hitbox is quite small. let's zoom in a bit more. Because the player hitbox is literally a line, it's thinner than this line, by the way. This is just a visual line. You can't do a super edge stand. It is not possible. Actually, it is possible if I adjust the value directly to literally the exact value of this cell, but I don't think that's possible in game. There might be some trick, but it's going to be so rare and genuinely not possible that I'm not worried about it. So this stick figure was the only solution I could think about for this problem. Now, the biggest problem this stick figure gives us, right, is, well, kind of clip into the wall, and that does look a bit ugly, right? And it used to be worse because now I have the arm. The only really easy way I could think about handling it, for at least for alpha, was just giving the player an arm. That way, if I'm on the ground, not on the air, I get this arm. So in the air, I'm still free to move around, not have this square I run into. For example, like, what if I have a block right there, right? Then if I had this arm, if I jumped from here, the arm's gonna actually hit it, even though it looks like I shouldn't. But yeah, that was kind of the only way I could figure out doing that. Another solution I thought about doing is maybe I do a box above the player, have the standing area only be a line, but it doesn't really fix too much in the end. It's really all in all the same solution, right? In the end, the most important thing is making sure the player is a straight line. This kind of cheese is not possible. If the player has any bigger footing, then it's kind of possible for them to stand on the edge, which I do not want for a precise puzzler like this. And really the easiest way to solve this problem is maybe we shouldn't have designed the game like this in the first place, but I really wanted for a free moving player. I did not want click for the slime to jump up 2 blocks onto this block. I did not want something like that. I do think, I can think of multiple ways to implement a game like that, but I generally think this is more fun, unlocks more potential for the game. And there are going to be a few interesting levels that showed it off. And I think at least the most fun level for me, that kind of, oh my god, I did not mean to quit game. Okay, at least the most interesting level that showed that off for me, oh, I forgot I'm not in the editor, but let's go back to jungle, is I think the grape level, right? Where you're introduced to such a free moving food. You pick up the grape, you eat it, and you're moving across the whole level. And I think something like that is so cool. And in the end, you're in control of your character. You're not just thinking about, okay, I want to click here for the slime to go there, and then action, right? It's not something like that. You're literally controlling your player. I want to give them all freedom they have, and that kind of made it much harder to implement the game. But I think in the end, it was all worth it. So hopefully we'll see how it goes. It does also make the level designing much harder, but thankfully, with the 2 problems I solved with the 1x1 grid, that isn't too bad. Now I do just need to think about a few more things. For beta, I still need to tweak the player a bit more. And again, I have thought about doing a bit more of a bigger collision. But let's go to the pyramid level. It had some issues, and this was the only reason I had to do one of the reasons I had to do a hot patch for the game was because I accidentally made the arm so big, which I did like not long earlier before alpha release. I forgot that because if the arm is so big, how I'm handling collision for this is also proximity. You can't touch the keystone from the side. So that was a mistake I made. Likely what I'll have to change is actually make the key boxes go off collision, which will be a bit harder because this is raycasting, not a direct collision in world. So hopefully that's something I can handle. It will be a bit rough. Another thing I need to handle is this really heavily clipping case for the player. But I think again it goes into the case of, well, player hitbox. And I will experiment this, but one solution I have is a diamond-shaped player. It's gonna be weird, but that might be it, but we shall see. A diamond shape would allow the player to jump from here, but it would just have to push them left, riding along the slope. That way, we don't have this weird clipping. Instead, they would jump and get slid up. Because in the end, that is how some games do it, right? I do believe Mario also has this slight pushing in, so like they don't need the player literally completely free of the jump to jump up this block. Like even if you're slightly off, Mario, if you jump, you get slid in from the wall, right? And I do think a diamond-shaped collision could fix that. But something I'm gonna have to experiment with. Otherwise, I'm just gonna have to use this arm as like if I'm jumping, if the arm is in a wall, right? Just push the player back, and that might solve it too. But we shall see. Because the arm, from what I've tested, it's not as easy as just enabling the collision, because it comes into the problem of jumping here, glides the arm here instead. So something I'll have to figure out. But funny enough, I didn't even talk about like actual level designing process that much, because it's really coming down to figuring out the player feels good before the puzzle. That honestly was so hard to do. I don't know why. Like it should have been so simple, but when you have problems like this colliding into the wall, even if it's so niche, it does become a problem that I'm gonna have to solve. And hopefully everything I talked about, like the diamond-shaped player, will solve that at least better. Obviously, new art is gonna come for beta, hopefully for beta, but 100% for launch. And maybe that will just be designed better around thinner player instead. We shall see. Because yeah, another solution I have is just make the player really tiny, right? I do want a proper size player, so hopefully I don't have to go that route. Because in the end, you know, it's a slime. I want the player to be visible, as they should be in a puzzle game. So yeah, we will see. I think for this level, this might actually be faster. Oh, I don't know why I couldn't pick that up. And I'm genuinely curious how some people, like, how fast some levels will be beaten in the beta. Because hopefully for beta, I can get Steam leaderboard up. I do really want that to be out early. And then for the launch, I'll obviously just wipe the leaderboard. But I want to see how fast people can actually beat the game. Like, some levels, they are going to have... Yeah, and for the beta, it will be in. But all the levels are going to have proper 3 challenges to give them replayability and extra ways to reapproach a level. And that itself should be interesting. I'm going to have to do that for every single level though, so... Extra level design challenges that I'm going to have to think about, but that should be fun. And I'm not going to be able to develop much once I move back to Korea, which is happening on the 31st, so 5 days from this stream. But once I settle down, I should be able to work on the game heavily again, and I will try to finish the game by hopefully within the next 2 months. I think next month is going to be the busiest part, setting up the vlog video, actually trying to get publicity for the game, right? So we actually have players, but we'll see. I do think in the end, if I can just get a good puzzle game, then that itself will just hopefully get some publicity, but we shall see. Oh, that was a wrong order, but it doesn't matter. No, 0.3 seconds slower. And yeah, I still need to think about some things like, what am I going to do here? You can see some empty area here. I am probably going to add even more extra challenge levels, but we'll see if I even have time for that for the real launch. That might just have to come in like a DLC, obviously probably a free DLC. Well, I guess at that point you wouldn't call it a DLC, it would just be... Yeah, it's not DLC, it's not downloadable content, it's just content. It will just be an update that comes after the launch. Don't know what I'm saying. But should be interesting. Because I do have plans. So this is a forest level. I'm thinking every subworld, there's gonna be a challenge world after. So story-wise, you don't need to beat every level, but for the challenge level, maybe you need to beat 8 levels in forest, and maybe there's like 10 levels exactly the same or something. And that level, that set of subworld like cave levels wouldn't be needed for story, right? So it would just be literally just extra challenge levels. If you want more puzzle regarding this area's theme of food and such, that would be the place to go. And that's gonna extend like even out to here. This was a plains challenge. I was just trying out how it would feel, and I think it is exactly what I want. I would do something similar for the farm. The farm itself, it might just be in the same subworld. I don't think I need to split up subworld for every single challenge levels. In jungle, I might do the same thing where it's just in that world. But that should be quite interesting because I do have a ton of ideas regarding some of the harder levels. Because this game does allow for a ton of room. So if we go into level editor, like you can create some crazy puzzles, especially if you use all the food given. Obviously, right now, the hardest part of level design is figuring out how I can make hard levels only given some foods I can use, right? that really is something. Like, how do I make sure the player gets taught this mechanic only using these foods, right? But for challenge levels, I can go a bit crazy, like actually designing some crazy permutation levels. It's like you really need to think about, okay, how do I actually, maybe the cake needs 2 food to get to. The foods are in some crazy way that you have to think about what to do to get to it, right? But that will be something I'll be able to think about more, hopefully after beta. We shall see. I don't think it's going to be in for beta because there's so much polishing I need to do for the game anyways. Another thing is story. The game does have story, right? I guess I'll delete save too. If I go back to start, boom. Story is you fade in, you have a cake, the cutscene happens. Cutscene, right, there you go. I'm just gonna skip the cutscene, it's a hold space. Right? UFO takes the cake, goes to the forest, and you're chasing him. There is gonna be an actual story where you're I will say this now, but it is not finalized, where you're gonna actually have to fight the UFO. I do believe I've mentioned this before, so it's not a complete spoiler, but I may actually have a boss fight, but it will be so simple that all it's there for is just pushing progression or story progression, right? So it might be you come into the forest, UFO's over here, you get to it, you do a boss fight, and once you win, UFO will move to the next area, and you're essentially just chasing after him. That's kind of the idea I have. That should be quite interesting. I do have the whole storyline written already. Noted that it's not implemented, but I think it's a simple enough yet funny enough story to make it interesting. Island is going to be used, and there is going to be one more area after Island, but that will not be talked about until the release of the game. Not even in beta, but that should be quite fun. And Island and the next area will have some crazy foods. Yeah, that should be interesting. We shall see. I'm genuinely excited to start getting to design some of those levels, but it is a bit of a scope creep because I need to think about finishing beta first and not those 2 levels. So I might not start work on those 2 levels until I'm ready to. Obviously, the art and sound may get done first, but that's fine. Level designing is the fun part anyway, so I'll probably push those late. We'll see. I think I can work on it. I'll just have to work on a different branch. That way it doesn't get pushed to main, because I feel like it could be just leakable if it's just in the code. Because beta is still going to be downloadable, right? So like it can just be ripped from the code itself. We'll see. Because I do think that is a possible thing. Unless if I do some crazy maneuver, but I'm not doing that. It's meant to be a simple game. I don't want to have to protect the script crazy amount, but we'll see. But that should be interesting to content. So there should be, I think, 8 worlds total. So we obviously have this main area. 1, forest, 2. Farm and jungle. Both of those are optional. You have to do just one of the 2. So that's 4, 5, and 6. And then we have island in the next area, which is 7 and 8. And then the main world will also have few levels scattered around. So there's the starting area. There's probably going to be a few introduction levels here too. And I'll probably theme it around the swamp. So there might be a swamp maybe here. Mostly because, as I said, farm and jungle is like optional where you can pick just one and you can get to the next area story-wise. It does mean that you're going to the jungle and the next area without having done one of these 2. So I do want to have an introduction level here where if you're coming from the jungle, this level is going to have the foods from the fruits that you would see from the farm level. That way you're getting introduced to all the food you may have missed. Hopefully that makes sense. It's a bit bit weird to explain, but yeah, that should make sense, hopefully. And then after beating those levels, you can get to the desert. There's going to be another UFO related story thing. After that, you go to the pyramid, another UFO related story thing. And then you're going to the island and the next big area, which is the unknown. But that should be fun. So hopefully we'll see. But think about how many levels there might be, because I know for main here I want 4 introduction levels. These are near finished. I think the only level I might want to change is level 3, because it doesn't really tell you much. I feel like level 4 already tells you that, hey, you can pick up food midair, right? So level 3 is now kind of useless, so I might remove it and change it to something else. We'll see. So there's going to be probably 4 level for at the start. There's going to be at least 3 challenge levels here, and maybe a few more over here somewhere. Or maybe 2 more or 3 more. There's not too much I can do regarding this area because you only have so many food. I think this level was quite interesting itself though, because this was the level pretty much all play testers could not solve easily. The fact that you need to figure out picking this up first and going around here, I think that's the hardest part. And I hope this shows that, you know, some easier levels, even with barely any food interaction, can still be hard. Right? But let's move on here. I don't know if I'll have levels here. Probably not. Maybe a few levels along the mountains, mainly because I'm probably not going to put too many levels in jungle compared to farm. Farm, the food choices are insane, right? There's potatoes, there's beans, bean can. There's also onion. I think this food is the craziest food so far because it directly interacts with food in world. That food alone, this food alone is going to create for some of the hardest levels, and I'm going to have to think really hard on designing those levels. Like even this level I think is really interesting in how you can solve it. Because I think it also has 2 solutions compared to the one I'm doing right now. Because I did have another playtester beat this level differently than what I anticipated. Like, I thought you had to use this first, but I believe that playtester didn't have to do that first. Like, they did something else, which I actually don't remember. I think it was they just jumped here and then figured out something else. But, oh, I don't think it was that, because I think you need that ginseng. Let's see. Yeah, you can't use potato here, right? Because that would eat the onion to onion. I wonder what they did. I'm gonna have to try to remember. Maybe it was this. Nope, not that. But this is still the same solution as the one I did, so maybe it was something else. But that is quite fun how some levels still do have multiple solutions, which is exactly what I wanted. So hopefully it stays. But that is all up to how I level design, so we'll see. Yeah, this interesting watermelon food, I think also unlocks for some potential. This level is just a small preview of what some levels could look like for watermelon, right? You're picking up so many food, and maybe you have to, well, this was the first thing I thought about it, like, oh, you have to pick up as many food as possible, which does mean you need to figure out, hey, oh, I need to walk back, because that's how I pick up one more food when I come back later, right? I think this level was very interesting in that. We can just go back. We can get to the cake, because now we have one more watermelon slice, which dashes us 2 blocks. And there was, yeah, that was it. Even the scarecrow level, which is the final level I have at the moment, doesn't use onion or watermelon because this level was actually in the 2020 version of the game. I just modified it to look better and also prevent 1 cheese, because there actually was a cheese in the level. But there we go. But we shall see. Farm's definitely gonna have probably the most levels. Pyramid's also gonna have a lot of levels. I think the keystone concept, I think this is probably the one concept in the game that unlocks a lot too. In fact, I think Pyramid will introduce no new food just because this block unlocks so much level design potential. Like, it's crazy what you can do with just this simple remove any food, but you need that food mechanic, right? I think that alone is crazy. And this level definitely an interesting one. Hopefully someone does try this level in the alpha, because I'm very curious to get feedback on it, but I'm really not expecting much. I think the game right now has like 20 downloads, and who knows how many people out of that 20 actually tried the game, but I really hope some people try out this level and see what they can figure out, because this is like a small peek as in PEEK at what the game is potential of puzzle wise. So we shall see. And it's a very interesting level too, because it almost seems like other routes are possible. Like, you're getting close. Maybe maybe I have to do that, but not quite, because now I can't touch that, right? And like, I can't go through the top because there's jalapeno. But yeah. Hopefully this level's interesting enough too. Actually, is this possible? No, I don't think it's possible. I think you kind of have to do this route, but I genuinely feel like this is one of those levels that could have another solution that I've just not thought about. Surprisingly, it is a lot of permutation, like what you can do. I really didn't think it was going to be this crazy, but some levels do have that weirdly hard, weirdly difficult routes. And this is definitely one of them. And yeah, this is the solution route, but we shall see. And I don't even know what to think about this level, because this level's too big. But I think I can make this level even smaller. I'll just have to think about it. Honestly, yeah, I probably will redesign this level a bit, just because it is interesting in some aspects, but it's just too big. The level itself is too big. Maybe I will leave this similar, but in the challenge level for Pyramid, because Pyramid will have another subworld for challenge levels. We'll see. Okay, I think with that, I'm gonna end the game dev stream. Game dev streams aren't gonna be too long, mainly because, from what I can tell, it's gonna be very hard to make it entertaining, especially for a puzzle game. For anything else, literally any other game, it might be more fun, but puzzle game is gonna be resident sleeper for an unfinished puzzle game where you can't really explain the mechanic for, right? But yeah, hopefully this stream is interesting to some people. We'll see. I'm gonna end the stream here, and I'm gonna go take a bit of a break, because this is second stream of the day, but we'll see. I have to start packing too. But yeah, see you guys. Wait a second. Oh. No, did that whole second part? Oh. It was streaming nothing. It was streaming my I'm so upset. That whole recording was recording an empty footage of the title screen. I accidentally opened the same. I accidentally opened the second game that showed nothing. Wow. That is actually so sad. I was showing off stuff the whole time. But nothing was happening. I'm gonna have to re-record everything again for devlog. Great. Okay, well, I'm ending the stream here. That sucks. Oh my goodness. See you guys.